Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Come on!
Live from the Govardhan Eco Village in beautiful Maharashtra, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to what day of the week it is? Monday? Welcome to Monday's Study the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm here, a little live group. Our wisdom people are either overworked or lazy and getting some Ayurvedic treatments. We've taken over Nitai Priya's room, and we don't even need it.
Sure.
We don't even need it.
More people may come.
More people drizzle in. Big day in India, everybody. It's a big day in India. They're celebrating the Prana Pratishta, where they call the Lord to enter into the deity. Huge festival. Everybody's there. Swamis and sadhus from all over India.
I don't think you've explained enough about it.
It's the opening of the ancient Ram temple, which has been under. When we get into it,
Well, we can tell a little something. I mean, otherwise there's no context, right?
okay. You say it. I'm going to say something politically incorrect. Yes.
No, it's just that for centuries there was a temple of Lord Ram on the birthplace of Lord Ram in the city of Ayodhya. So, the city of Ayodhya is written about in the Ramayana and ancient, texts that go back thousands and thousands of years.
By the way, that was challenged, and then they sent archaeologists in, and they found ancient columns.
Right. So that temple, which had served as a place of not only worship, but a place of where people go for deep spiritual connection. It served that way for centuries, and then that was when the Muslim invaders invaded northern India. They not only invaded it, they not only kind of killed lots of innocent people, and but they very purposely
We're being generous.
Yeah,
it was a
brutal,
it was a brutal genocide.
Yeah, and so they
It doesn't make it to Hollywood. You know what I mean? It doesn't make it to Hollywood. There's thousands of Hollywood movies about the genocide that went on in with Hitler, but we don't hear about lesser known countries' genocides.
Sure.
So
they very intentionally tore down the holiest places for the devotees of Lord Ram and Krishna and the Hindus, you could say. And so that temple was torn down and a mosque was built right on top of it.
I mean, it's a way that religions, when they conquered lands, they tried to replace it with their culture. Christians did it too. You can go to the what's the big church in Cologne?
I don't know.
That giant. Look at that up. Anyway, the big church in Cologne, Germany. It's built on top of a pagan spot.
Okay.
So you put your church, your new church, on what's considered a holy spot by the locals, and then the idea is you keep coming back to that holy spot, but we're gonna just change you up here and switch the gods.
I mean,
the Cologne Cathedral, the dome.
I mean, I think even beyond that, it's just a way of trying to crush the spirit of people. your God's out, we're in, we're wiping out all that you believe in, and so on.
Mm.
So for some centuries that stood there, and then you know, it eventually was taken back, and there's a huge political event that took place in, I think it was 92, where that mosque was torn down. I believe it was inactive for a long
They
time
were
before that,
inactive.
and then
Yeah. It was
it-
run by the government
then there,
at that point, just a
and then
holding dangerous.
it was in the courts where the land would go. So thousands of Hindus kind of stormed it and tore down the mosque, and that became that incident led to violence and so on, and all that's very unfortunate.
Mm.
But all that being said, um, the fact that after all these centuries, that Lord Ram can again have it, there can be a temple for Lord Ram on that spot again, which there should be, there always should
There
be.
should be.
So it's kind of like a very special day for the devotees of Lord Ram all
Sure.
over India today. So it's a very big event.
Imagine, I don't know enough about Native American.
That's what I was.
I
Gonna
was
say.
thinking, like, imagine
Yeah.
if Native Americans say, okay, a guy, you did it. You decimated the entire country. You took it over, but this is a holy place, and we're going to resurrect something here. It would be a great time
Yeah.
to rejoice.
Or imagine if Hindus invaded. Imagine if India invaded Saudi Arabia, or they invaded Mecca and just tore down everything there and put a big Shiva temple like right on top of it. It would
Mm.
be outrageous. The whole world would say this is
I know,
absolutely outrageous.
All right.
Or imagine if, like you're saying, if in the United States, imagine if not only that European invaders took over, but imagine if the Native Americans had one like a central space that was particularly holy to them for a particular reason, and very consciously it was torn down, desecrated, and they built a church right on top of it.
Sure.
If centuries later the Native Americans would regain that and create a holy space for
Mm.
them to return to, the same people that would be so critical of what's happening today in India would be cheering that on.
Sure.
So
It's hard to even
you know,
use that analogy because it was a very few people controlling so many when it came to India. It was an elite class of, armies that controlled so many other Hindus here.
Sure.
And therefore, it's still primarily Hindu.
Right.
And so, anyway, what's going on now is they have rebuilt that temple, reclaimed that space,
And inaugurated it today.
and inaugurated it today. And everyone in India is ecstatically losing their mind.
Maybe not everyone.
Maybe
but-
not everyone. Maybe not 100% of the people, but most of India.
Yeah.
They're almost like reclaiming India as India. They're doing it with all these cities that were renamed by invaders, by colonists.
Right.
And we say it in America, the colonizers, and people all over the world been colonizing other countries.
Yeah.
So India's just saying, okay,
it's fighting back from the imperialism that has centuries, of history.
centuries from the British, from the
Yeah.
Portuguese, from the Chinese, from the Arab, from the Moguls, from the Persians, from the Afghanis.
And India never invaded any of these countries.
I
They've
know.
just been the victim of it.
They've been a victim of it. And so now they're just saying, guess what we're going to do? We're going to go to all the cities that invaders renamed, and we're giving them back their original names. And they're about to do it with India. They're about to bring back Bharat as the name of India, because India is not an Indian name. It's the invaders' names.
So yeah,
It's that quite exciting.
So when an invading country not only colonizes but just rapes in a sense a nation, when they can claim it back,
It's something beautiful.
let's sell, particularly when it's such a beautiful culture, such a beautiful,
It's a
deep
beautiful
spiritual,
culture.
deeply beautiful spiritual tradition. We can celebrate that. Let them have it back.
Also, the history books are being systematically rewritten to reflect the reality of India,
Mhm.
which is the reality of India is we have a very ancient culture here. It didn't start with the invaders. That's what they bring it back. They bring it back 600 years. It went back millennia.
I mean,
And it's got such a rich history.
we can get into so many, like even what's been predominant in academia up until very recently was the idea that, this culture had nothing, right?
They're a bunch of tribals, and we
it's-
helped them, and we educated them.
it's such a, in terms of language, in terms of architecture, in terms of literature, terms of philosophy, in terms of the arts, it's an incredibly, insanely rich culture.
Mm.
They came and then denied that any of it. Oh, all of this existed because of an Aryan invasion that took place. Like, you know, it was really Europeans that brought all of this knowledge to these people. Give me a break.
And it's about to flip. Everything's
yeah.
about to flip, and I feel like we're in the midst of a whole massive, as Public Enemy would say, it's time to take the power back.
Oh,
And India's taking the power back, actually, taking the power back. And let's face it, we're all a bunch of New Yorkers, and we're like inspired by yoga, Sanskrit, Ayurveda. These are things that are. It's almost like the final revenge is there's yoga schools all over the world right now. It's like talk about colonization in a beautiful
and
way.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a revenge, but it's just that they've always
It's
only
not
wanted
planned.
to
It's
to
a
share.
divine plan.
They've always only wanted to share what good they have, and they do have such a incredibly deep, beautiful spiritual tradition.
Well,
So,
I will say that the teachings of spirituality from ancient India is a very broad gate. It's very welcoming, it's very
that's right.
inclusive,
Yeah,
and it's very tolerant.
right.
It's very tolerant. And I can see through yoga, through Ayurveda, and back to natural living, through medicine, through meditation, through kirtan, which is massive.
Mhm.
Kirtan was not massive 20 years ago. It's massive all over the world. Krishna Das can sell out a concert for 700 people in Berlin. You know what I mean? That's huge. It was unprecedented, in the history of the West. And so I can see how it's not even planned, but there's shifting happening. People are a little bit more open to other experiences. They want less dogma in their life.
Yeah,
And
right.
they want a broader understanding of spirituality. We've gone through this phase in life where spirituality has been we've been taught God was this authoritarian, sadist dictator. And people are either still going with that because they want to believe in God, or they're saying, you know what, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. I can't get into the whole religious thing. And people are looking for a broader understanding, a bit more tolerant understanding, a loving concept of
More
divinity,
scientific understanding.
and a more scientific.
Yeah.
And it has right down to the science.
Yeah. All right, brother. Thank you.
All right. We're worked up here on Wisdom of the Sages.
All right. Should we check in with Mary?
Mary, how's it going? Can you please announce Italy and announce pilgrimage and Nepal pilgrimage, please?
And announce signing up for stage groups.
Sage groups.
Stage group sign up starts on January 27th at 9 a.m. on our website, wisdomofthesages.com. You can also sign up for the Italy retreat there, which is June 11th through 18th. And we're going to Nepal November 4th through 16th, but that's not on the website yet.
No.
But you can email ragu.pilgrimage@gmail.com if you want more info, or just stay tuned. We'll put it up on the website in the next couple weeks.
That's that.
Okay.
I'm excited for Italy this year.
Me too.
Always good. Always good. And by the way, people are already signed up for that. If you're thinking about it, I'd recommend you jump on that.
All right. You ready for the nugget?
Yeah, what's the nugget, sir?
Did you get it?
I didn't get it.
I thought I said. Sometimes I never.
Sometimes you
send it.
think of me.
No,
and then
I
you don't
actually
follow
put it
through.
in there and I don't hit the send button. No, I didn't hit the send button.
You didn't hit the send button.
Okay. So I got it here for you. 1 second. Look at that. We'll actually take our nugget from a Muslim today. At least a type of Muslim.
Rumi, was he
Sure
a Sufi?
Yeah, I believe it was Sufi.
Beg of God the removal of envy, that God may deliver you from externals and bestow upon you an inward occupation, which will absorb you so that your attention is not drawn away. Let me read that again.
Okay.
Beg of God the removal of envy,
Yes.
that God may deliver you from externals
Okay.
and bestow upon you an inward occupation, which will absorb you so that your attention is not drawn away. If
Yeah.
we could just focus on what all these different tribes, all these different religions, if we could just focus on what's in common instead of what the differences are, what a better place to live this world would be.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's what Rumi we're talking about, but I totally agree with what you
That's
just
not the
said.
what?
I'm not sure if that's what he's talking about.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just saying that
Okay.
resonates with everything that we say. That
Sure.
resonates with a lot of things a lot of
gotcha.
Christians say.
Oh, I gotcha.
I'm
Okay.
saying beg of God the removal of envy. That's like the
Yeah.
stuff we talk about all the time.
Sure. Sure. But to me, I was, and I agree with what you just said.
But that's a general statement.
General.
Now,
Yeah.
as far as this goes,
Yeah.
please share.
Well, just that this has been our theme. I think we're going to wrap up the first chapter of the 7th canto today. And there's been this theme that what you meditate on, that determines your destination, right?
Mhm.
Even if you're demonic by nature, if Shishupal meditated on Krishna and it granted him liberation. And, we went into Bhagavad Gita where we're saying that what you meditate upon, that determines your next life or your future.
Mm-hmm.
And in a general way, we can understand that where we choose to place our thoughts, if we choose, even in a simple way, right? Not like in the deepest mystical way, but in a simple way, your typical self-help guru or something will have something to say about, cultivating positive thinking, positive thoughts.
intention, positive
Yeah,
thoughts.
that really, wherever you are externally, it's really what's going on in your mind that determines the state of your mental health, the state of your happiness, right?
Mm.
You can really be anywhere. Two people can be in the exact same place, and one has an internal life that's beautiful and full of happiness, and one has an internal life that's full of bitterness or criticism or depression. And so much of it has to do with where they've chosen to bring their mind, as they're going through life. And so here we have Rumi saying, you approach God. What do you approach God for? Commonly, people approach God for external things so that they can feel happiness, right? He's saying, that's not, actually, we're approaching for the exact opposite, right? Beg God for the removal of envy. Okay, let me get rid of all the animosity. And when we say envy, perhaps Rumi's using it the same way that we say Prabhupada does commonly too, right? Which is more like an old English kind of translation that has animosity, right? So I want to be free of animosity, and that God may deliver you from externals. In other words, you're not asking something from God. You're just asking God to help grant you a state of mind where you have lucid clarity that I don't need any external things. Do not make me happy, do not have any true connection to who I really am on an eternal level. Okay, then what am I looking for? And what you're asking for is to bestow upon you an inward occupation, right? I want you to help me develop my inner life, which will absorb you so that your attention is not drawn away to the externals, right? So I need to have a rich internal life.
I love the concept of an internal occupation.
Yeah.
It's a great phrase.
Something to bring you to internally, that where you're as busy internally as you
Wonder
would
who
be externally.
translated this, because I'm sure he didn't write this in English.
No, he didn't
It's
write
very
it in English.
poetic.
There's a lady who I met the other night, because she came here with Rukmini Devi.
Oh
and
yeah, the
Gurvani.
Iranian lady.
Yeah, her. I'm not sure. I think she is Iranian. I think her name is Lida.
Yeah, she is.
Sadian. I hope I'm pronouncing it correct. She was an expert on Rumi, and she's written books, and I think she's currently writing another book on Rumi. She had a lot to offer. I mean, like she was, yeah. I was like, I've always liked some of what I've read not that I've read Rumi seriously, but the quotes are all over the place.
Yeah.
And in general, I like them.
If he was on Instagram, he'd have lots of followers.
Yeah, he definitely would. But I also commonly think people are quoting it without really understanding it. I kind of get that feeling.
Yeah, sure.
And she started speaking all kinds of verses of Rumi, which I'd never ever heard, that were blowing my mind. I mean, that were deeply, deeply profound about the nature of love, and separation. It was like unbelievable. She was blowing my mind. She was like a little walking encyclopedia. Really fascinating. So I don't know who translated this.
Anyway, it's pretty. Can I share some embarrassing moments that I just had before I got in this room?
Not the Calcutta
book fair story.
Okay,
that's in my book.
it's finally coming out.
It's coming out, but it has a good. It has a good moral of that story.
Okay.
The Calcutta.
It might be easier to read in a book than to hear.
Yes, but it's not that. It's that I'm about to do a sleep apnea sleep test
Oh,
tonight
yeah,
at
yeah.
the hospital. And so they were like, okay, that's great. You're going to be here by 8:30 at night and you can wear this and don't wear any metal and blah, blah, blah. Oh, and no facial hair. And I was like, oh, no facial hair? No, we put electrodes or something on your beard, on your chin. And I was like,
But
I mean, a little bit of facial hair, right? And they're like, no, nothing, no facial hair. And I was like, oh my God. I hate my unshaved face.
no, we're all good.
Yeah, I know. And it's stupid. It's stupid. It's all external occupation. And so I was like shaving my face, going, oh man, I look so bulbous. My head looks like a big beach ball. And it's just like, and some of you will agree, and that's okay. And it's just round like a, it's just, I look at there's two people in this world, hamburger heads and hot dog heads. And I've got a hamburger head, and it's just, we'll just call it a veggie burger head. And I just don't, I'm not gonna, the beard gives it some type of depth, three-dimensional effect. It's- Yeah, it brings it down to the hot dog.
Oh, that's what you're looking for, the length.
Yeah, length. I need more length. And that's what it happens. And now the only length is like my third chin is my length. It's just like, I'm not used to this. And anyway, I was like, what am I? This is stupid. I'm here teaching we're not the body and we're spirits. And it's like killing me to look my head in the mirror.
You okay?
I'm okay. I'm dealing with it, but it's still my ego. I was like, I don't look that bad. Well, that's still my ego that I don't look that bad. Why do I care? Why do I care what these guys think?
Okay.
I'm not a body. I'm not flesh. But the problem is I'm absorbed in an external occupation.
I see. Your mind's occupied externally.
The mind's yeah.
Right. And here's
that shouldn't bother. It shouldn't bother. At this point in my life,
Wow,
no one cares.
nobody cares.
No one cares that much anyway.
Glad you got that off your chest.
Yeah, well, it's embarrassing to say. I'd like to be more advanced than I am.
Okay.
And I'm just not. And I'm dealing with it because of it.
No,
'Cause if
well,
I was advanced, I'd be like, what?
even
Oh,
the fact
sure.
the fact that you can speak about it so openly means you're just like just right off the
Okay.
just over the edge, right?
It's something.
And that's good.
I identify with my illusion. I understand
You see it.
my Maya,
Yeah.
and I'd like to overcome it. I don't know what it's going to take.
I think you took a big step towards it today.
Sometimes people get some horrible scars or something. Maybe I need that.
No.
Remember that time I
It's necessary.
remember that time I sliced my nose open?
I do remember
Through that episode, I had like a
It's there
big
still.
It's not there
It is
anymore.
there. No, I can. I don't mean. There's just a little bit. It's subtle.
That was we got to find that episode, Mara. There was like a big number 3 sliced in my nose.
There's quite a few episodes because it was stitched.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it stayed. It didn't go
Yeah.
away. But it was so deep and they had to stitch my nose. Even the doctor was bugging out. The doctor was like, oh my God, we can't do this. Are you kidding? And he's looking at Mara was with me. Mara was like there for moral support. And she was like, this is your face, man. You got to go to a plastic surgeon. I can't do this. I held the doctor's hand.
You
Said,
could do
Mara,
this.
tell the story.
The doctor actually called me over and was like, come here, look at this. Do you think that I should like pull this part up here and
Oh
pull
my
the
God.
stitch there? I was like,
Yeah.
that, but I don't know anything. I can't even
Oh, yeah, to cut it.
But it all worked out. It's
Well,
very
no,
it's
my
very
point
subtle and it
was-
gives it character.
Yeah, but sometimes scars don't give character. Sometimes they're just gruesome.
No,
You know what I
it's-
mean?
it's
I'm
not
just saying maybe sometimes something gruesome's got to happen.
I don't think so.
For me to shed that. Although let's face it, you could have a gruesome and you could be just very self-conscious of your gruesomeness.
Okay, we've gone far enough into.
Okay.
Let's. It's okay.
I'm just trying to analyze what it's going to take.
Hey, here we go. Here we go.
Oh, wait a
Look at
second.
this.
That's not what I think it is.
Bringing sugarcane juice.
Have they brought sugarcane juice?
Something.
Mm, mm.
Raghunath Spiller.
Thank
Just remember that.
Am I the only one that didn't
No.
get one? Is that what's happening?
Raghunath needs a sugarcane juice right now.
Everyone's
You
got
don't know what's been
sugar.
going on.
Hey, juice, except me.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram. Okay. Oh my God. So good.
Delicious.
So
Delicious.
good.
Little ginger in there, a little lemon.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay, let's get on
back
with the
into
show
this.
here.
Well, I wanted to talk just a bit more about this. Is that within the Bhakti tradition, particularly, I mean, Ramanuja talked about bringing the mind to Krishna.
Mhm.
He defined that as Bhakti, right? He said it's when the mind is flowing towards Krishna. or to Lord Vishnu. And he uses the term Dhruv Anusmriti, which they say that Dhruv Anusmriti, it means the mind is flowing in this direction, but the comparison they use is it's like when you pour oil, right? Like when you pour something real thick,
Mm.
right? Or even like honey.
Molasses, honey.
Honey, like when you pour honey. Sometimes when they have the Abhishek, the ritual where they're bathing the deities of Krishna in different liquids.
To further confuse everybody.
Well, yeah, and so
You know, like they bid deities and honey.
and pour liquid on top of them.
Wait a second.
But when they pour that honey, it's just like it's like 100% absorption,
You're
right?
gonna need 20 minutes just to even explain what you just said.
It's okay. I think they can follow. I think so. Anyway, if you pour honey over anything, any object,
Yeah, just say
if you
that.
if you pour water over it, it kind of splashes around.
Right. But honey,
It might be that certain surfaces don't get covered, right? Because it just splashes and they're dry
Sure.
spots. But if you pour honey, it just
okay.
oozes
Where,
over
where are you going with this? Yeah.
covers the
We get
entire
it. We get it.
thing.
It's covered in honey.
Thick.
Okay. Where are we going with this analogy?
So the mind has to be like that. The object of your meditation,
Mm.
your mind is just fully thick, thickly all over it,
Okay.
deeply absorbed. That's how Ramanuja described meditation going to Krishna. Now, when we get to 500 years later to sages like Rupa Goswami, and he's writing about this, he's saying that by meditating on Krishna's Leela, by meditating on great devotees of Krishna as they're revealed in books like Bhagavatam, it's that there's a transformation that takes place in the mind, for sure.
Mm.
Right. And through that meditation, you let go of all the lower things. You let go of worrying about whether you have a hamburger or a hot dog head.
Mm.
Right. You let go of all of your different attachments and so on. That absorption is deeply satisfying, deeply moving, deeply transformational. But not only that, that it leads to you that what you meditate on in your mind leads to your next spiritual. It leads to you taking on your eternal spiritual form.
Yeah.
That you can cultivate that spiritual form internally right now. And it's an advanced esoteric level of bhakti. Prabhupada would talk about bhakti as the mind always going to Krishna in whatever you're doing, right?
Mm.
If you're working, if you're busy, if you're doing this or doing that, chant Hare Krishna and your mind's going to Krishna.
Sure.
So in so many ways, bhakti and yoga in general and bhakti specifically is about bringing the mind to Krishna, finding a way to keep it going there. Having that, what Rumi, in a sense, is begging for here. You don't go to God to get something external that just further distracts you from the meditation that you're meant to be performing.
Interesting. Which
Right.
is why a lot of people approach God in the first place.
Exactly.
I want something external.
Yeah.
I want a wife. I want a husband. I want health. I want strength. I want a car. I want
all those
help me with
things.
money. I lost my job. Help me.
Yeah. I want health, whatever. So you're begging God for the removal of any envy, any animosity that you have to others, and asking to be delivered from the externals. I'm tired of my mind being captivated and distracted by useless external stuff. In our day and age, it's worse than ever because there's just so many ways that our mind can be distracted and our time can be wasted on things that are so disconnected. And what
Yeah.
I'm asking is to have an inward, deeply spiritual occupation that will absorb my mind deeply so that it doesn't go in other directions. And that's where I want to bring up this verse by Rupa Goswami. You know this one? Do you ever chant this one as part of your puja? Yuvati nam yata yuni yunam cha yavatau yata mano bhiramate tadvan mano me ramatam tvayi.
Just as the minds of young boys take pleasure in young boys.
No, young girls. That happens too. Just as the minds of young girls take pleasure in thinking of young boys when they fall in love.
Yeah. Okay.
And vice versa, as the minds of young boys take pleasure in young girls, kindly let my mind take pleasure in you alone. Right. So it's like a young girl, if she falls in love with a young boy, it's not that she has to do sadhana to remember him.
Sure.
Right. It's not that she needs yogic practices to focus the mind. It's not that she has to do ritual to try to shape the mind.
It's as if it's magnetic.
She's getting pulled.
Yeah.
And same thing if a young boy falls in love with a young girl. Now,
Yeah.
some yogis, some gyanis might say, oh, what are you talking about? That consciousness has nothing to do with yoga where you dismantle all of these kind of romantic ideas and so on. Rupa Goswami is saying, no, we have something to learn from this.
Mm.
May my mind with spontaneity, the gopis of Vrindavan, they're actually cursing their minds that they can't get them off of Krishna. right? They're like, if we just could stop thinking about this boy, right? So they're the greatest yoginis. You know, their meditation is deepest. It's like we're doing sadhana so that we can bring our mind to Krishna, not be distracted. They can't even get distracted, even if they try.
You know, I was explaining this morning in the morning sadhana how you and I sort of curated this whole experience here at the Govardhan Eco Village. That really, there's practically speaking no downtime for the mind, and that all we're doing is going different places around this beautiful area where you can hear and chant, Shravanam Kirtanam, either hearing and singing, or hearing sacred literature, or Harikatha, or pastimes of Lord Krishna or Lord
Beautiful
Ram.
little temples.
Yeah, we're singing different songs. We're singing different songs, visiting different places. But that's basically all that's going on. We're just like hearing and chanting sacred sound. Try not to criticize. Try not to be critical. Try to be tolerant. Try not to take offense, etc. So keep high vibe consciousness and just do that all day long. And then we have to eat. So we eat Krishna Prasad. And what happens is you create a little petri dish. Is that the word, a petri dish? Like a little experimental dish where you're doing a controlled experiment. And this is
isolated.
an isolated experiment. We're isolated from the whole world pretty much here. And then you're set back out into the world, and you get set back on your plane and shot back into wherever you were from. And while you're on that plane, there's this feeling like,
Uh-oh.
wait a second, what just happened to me?
Yeah.
I'm back in the regular world. People don't act as
Nina's
kind
like,
as
oh yeah,
they were.
been there.
People don't act as kind as they were. And, you know, this guy is making me offensive. He is being offensive, and people don't speak like that. I'm not used to this. And then it puts you in this, it juxtaposes you against where you just were in that incredible little snow globe.
Yeah.
Right. And then how to deal with it now. Like, how do I take something valuable away from this little experiment and bring it back to my world?
Yeah. We got to keep that internal occupation going.
Yeah. And it's really just through this type of meditation. Like this morning, I was in my room and I heard little 6-year-old Frankie. She was just walking around. I was trying to write. She's just screaming, singing. But I don't know if she was alone or with anybody, but she was just walking around singing. And I was thinking, she's just actually in meditation now.
There you go.
She's in sonic meditation, glorifying Krishna.
Nice.
Yeah,
Frankie.
it's such an easy process because it's woven into everything you do. It's woven into we're doing yoga. It's woven into your workout. We're doing set morning songs. We're doing morning katas. We're eating Krishna Prasad. It's woven into every little facet of your life.
Nice.
So you never forget Krishna. It's a whole culture of self-realization.
Thank you.
Your service.
Okay. Shall we read Bhagavatam now?
Sure.
A little bit of sugarcane juice.
The best. There's nothing better. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam gojayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord, Narayan. Unto Narayan, Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author.
Nasta Praesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance.
Dark.
Real dark.
Really ignorant.
Real ignorant. A little bit smart. Nah. I was born going in the absolutely wrong direction. But my teachers have opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. I was really running fast in the wrong direction.
Were you?
Yeah.
You weren't doing drugs, though.
I wasn't doing drugs. I'm still going backwards.
Okay. Me too.
Still going backwards.
I think we're on text 30. We just
Text
heard this
30.
far out verse, right? Which gets back to what we were just talking about. That was that text 29? Yeah, the grass worm. Remember that?
The grass worm. Okay. Here's text 30.
Yeah, but why don't we mention
Want to read
the
the
grass
want to read the
worm?
grass worm?
Yeah. Well, not
Okay.
necessarily read it, but it mentioned that there's a kind of little worm, and it gets trapped in a hole in the wall,
Oh yeah.
and then it's got a big, terrifying, scary bee
Guarding the hole.
guarding the not just guarding the hole, but like threatening the worm, coming in, moving in on the worm,
Trying to kill the worm.
gonna kill the worm, and the worm is trapped in that hole, and you can imagine that when the worm is looking at that bee, its entire consciousness is absorbed in that bee.
I
Right?
think
It's not
this is-
distracted in any way. It's deeply meditating on that bee.
I think this is a wasp.
A hornet.
Honeybees do not go for
Maybe
worms.
maybe like a hornet.
Some type of hornet.
Yeah. Those hornets, they can look terrifying. They're like all yellow
Yeah.
and very fierce. And so you're trapped, and this terrifying beast has got you trapped, and is coming in after you. Your mind is completely absorbed in that beast.
Hmm.
And then it takes its next birth as a bee or a hornet or whatever it is.
I
It's-
think Rudolf Steiner called those hornets demonic.
Okay.
And honeybees he called. These are like angels.
I like to see.
Just
You
like
think it's
shit.
an envious birth?
It's a horrible birth, a hornet.
Let's hope
There
it
are
happens
there
quick.
are levels of higher births and lower births.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them.
We've all
ev-
been through them.
We've all been through it. It doesn't make them.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them as beings evil.
No,
It's just
but
the birth.
it's a tough body.
It's a tough
to
body
have a
to
nice
have
attitude.
It's hard to have a good attitude.
In.
It's hard to be kind.
Yeah, when you're
It's
a
a
hornet.
hornet body.
It's hard to be kind when you're a hornet.
Write that one down. Okay. Text 30. Many persons have attained liberation simply by thinking of Krishna with great attention and giving up sinful activities.
Okay,
This great
bad karma.
attention may be due to lusty desires, inimical feelings,
2,
fear,
3,
affection,
4,
or devotional service.
5.
I shall now explain how one receives Krishna's mercy simply by concentrating one's mind upon him.
Okay, so Narada is speaking to Yudhishthir. Yudhishthir just saw this really downright dirty demon, Shishupal. He hated Krishna's guts
Dirty
from the
demon.
day he was born, the
Right.
whole time. And then he just insulted him like again and again and again and again. And after tolerating so much, Krishna took his head off, and everybody watched the soul of Shishupal, the brilliant glow of it, travel through the air and enter into the body of Krishna. What? He was liberated. He got, into
Why
the-
did
into-
he? It's unfair. Why did
Yeah.
he get liberated? That's the-
because even though it was with, here it's mentioned with, did it say hatred, with fear? There is 5 ways are mentioned. It could be with lusty desires, like with a romantic
no,
bent,
Krishna, I love you.
with inimical feelings.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Fear. Christian's fear.
Fear. Oh
Krishna's
my
gonna
God.
kill me.
Affection.
Affection. Oh,
Yeah,
Krishna.
Krishna, so nice. Or devotional service.
Let me serve you.
Okay, so any one of those 5 ways. Now he turned to Narada, the great sage,
Hmm.
and in front of everyone in this big assembly, Narada's explaining to Yudhishthira what just happened. He's saying, it's not only the mind that's devoted to Krishna with devotion
Hmm.
that has this positive effect on. Actually, if your mind goes to Krishna in any way with this kind of intensity, it has a positive effect, because he's just like one big contagious, liberation giver. Like if you're focused on him, you're liberated in different varieties of ways.
It's like
But-
electricity, If you're
Yeah.
sitting, water's neutral, but if you put electric cord on water, it just becomes
Mhm.
shocking,
Yes,
right? So in
Yeah.
the same way you add
Surcharged.
Krishna to anything,
surcharged.
it's purifying.
Okay. Now Narada's going to continue. He said, okay, there's these 5 different ways. Let me explain it more to you.
He's talking to Yudhishthir. My dear King Yudhishthir, the gopis,
Oh, yeah.
cowherd girls, by their lusty desires,
They're romantic.
that's how they became.
And-
That's how they're liberated.
And by the way, lusty here is being used because externally it appears that way, but the Acharyas will go on to explain that really it's not like the lust of this material world where you want something for yourself. Their love is entirely selfless, but they're using that just so that kind of externally it's seen that way.
Kamsa, by his fear,
Right.
right? So Kamsa was one of the other evil kings.
There was a prophecy Krishna would take him down.
Yeah.
So he was fearing him his whole
Whole
time.
existence was Krishna. Krishna,
Yeah, he's
Krishna.
gonna kill me.
He's gonna kill me.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, Krishna killed him. And then
Shishupal.
Shishupal and other kings by envy of Krishna.
I
Oh,
hate
this
his
Krishna. Who
guts.
does he think he is? Right. The Yadus by their familial relationships with
Mhm.
Krishna. That was Krishna's family name, the Yadus.
Mhm.
And you, the Pandavas. That's Krishna's. That's
Arjuna's
Yudhisthira was one of the
family.
Pandavas.
Yeah.
And you, the Pandavas, by your great affection, friendship for Krishna. And we, the general devotees, by our devotional service, right? Our Narada
Yeah.
was a bhakta, having obtained the mercy.
All have obtained the mercy of
We have all of us have obtained
in these
the
5
mercy
different
of
ways.
Krishna.
So it's kind of like we're all in the same category. We have nothing in common with those that hate Krishna. But what we do have in common actually is that we're meditating a lot on Krishna.
Yeah.
And that's what makes all the difference.
And you get some different result.
You do.
You get some nuanced result.
Yeah.
Text 32. Somehow or other, one must consider the form of Krishna very seriously.
Get focused.
Then, by one of the 5 different processes mentioned above, one can return home back to Godhead. Now, atheists, kings like Vena, however, being unable to think of Krishna's form in any of these 5 ways, cannot attain salvation. Therefore, one must somehow think of Krishna, whether in a friendly way or inimically.
So Vena, he was straight out demonic. He was totally egomaniac, just nuts. But he wasn't focused on Krishna at all.
Mhm.
Whereas Shishupal was total egomaniac, nuts, but in relation to always thinking about Krishna.
Mm.
And so Vena didn't get that kind of liberation.
Okay.
Narada. Muni.
Narada Muni continued. Oh, best of the Pandavas. That would have hurt Arjuna's feelings, maybe. If he's standing there like, really?
Actually, Arjuna, I think, would have been like, yes, he is.
Yeah, Bhima would have got mad.
I don't know.
What?
I think that he loved Yudhishthira too.
Oh, best of the Pandavas, your 2 cousins Shishupal and Dantavakra, the sons of your maternal aunt, were formerly associates of Lord Vishnu.
Hmm.
But because they were cursed by Brahmanas, they fell from Vaikuntha to this material world. And that was the story we told earlier about
Yeah.
the 2 gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, Jaya and Vijaya. Due to some offense to the 4 Kumars, they had to take birth 3 times in the material
We're
world.
going to hear more about that.
Okay. Text 34. Maharaj Yudhisthira inquired, what kind of great curse could affect even liberated Vishnu bhaktas? It's a good question.
Mhm.
Right? They're already liberated. What kind of curse could do that? And what sort of person could curse even the Lord's associates?
Yeah.
It's one thing to curse some evil guy. I'm going to curse you. It's another thing to curse somebody
It's got that.
who's already spiritually liberated, working for Lord Vishnu.
Yeah.
For unflinching devotees of the Lord to fall again into this material world
It's
Wait,
impossible.
it's impossible. I cannot believe this.
Continued.
Text 35. The bodies of the inhabitants of Vaikuntha are completely spiritual, having nothing to do with the material body, senses or life air. Therefore, kindly explain how the associates of God, the personality of Godhead, were cursed to descend in material bodies like ordinary persons.
Okay.
Good question.
Very good question.
Well, I thought that myself.
You're about to get the answer.
All right, I'm eager. Like if you get the question here, they're already working for Lord Vishnu. How could they fall from Vaikuntha?
Okay. Little sugarcane juice and.
The bodies of the inhabitants.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh no. 36.
Okay,
The
36.
great Saint Narada
The great sage Saint Narada
said.
Do you know in the Grand Canyon there's a place called Narada Falls?
I didn't know that.
Isn't that interesting? Wonder how it got that name, Mara. Look that up. I wonder if Narada appeared there.
It's possible.
Can you look? Check that? Narada Falls origin.
Mayor's like, it's not going to have anything to do with Narada.
No, I think it is. It has something to do with Narada.
Really?
Okay. Maybe. Okay. Had anything to do with Narada? It's Washington State now. I'm corrected. Anything. Anyway, let me know when you find something. The bodies of the inhabitants of Vaikuntha are completely spiritual, having nothing to do with them.
I don't know.
Okay.
The great Saint Narada.
The great Saint Narada said, once upon a time when the 4 sons of Lord Brahman, namely, you know the 4 names, Mara? Okay. Okay. You got Narada Falls. Okay.
Yeah, Okay. The waterfall was originally called Cushman Falls, but the name,
Sort of sounds Hindu too.
well, it says the falls were named Narada by Arthur F. Knight during a week-long trip to Mount Rainier in 1893 for the Narada branch of the Theosophical Society of Western Washington with Narada
Yeah.
of a Hindu guru.
There you go.
Bah.
No, you're right. How about
Narada
that? I had no
Falls.
idea about that.
Okay.
The whole
Yeah.
Theosophical
The
Society.
Theosophical Society was into all this stuff.
Madame Blavatsky.
Madame Blavatsky, don't mess with her. She's a mystic.
All right.
Okay.
Seneca.
Okay. Chaitanya, name the four Kumars names loud. One, Sanat Kumar. Help her out, Bombay. Shanak, Shanatan. Sanandana, you got it.
Yeah. Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumar.
All right.
Even though we may mispronounce things sometimes I was watching this professor give a talk on Hinduism.
Did he get all the words wrong?
And well, he was doing this thing, and then at a certain point he said, and they don't even call it Hinduism. They call it Sanatana Dharma. And I was like, okay, I can't listen to this anymore. I just can't. Sanatana Dharma. I was like, have you ever met a Hindu before?
So they were wandering throughout the three worlds, and they came by chance to Vishnu Loka. So here's the story. Although these four great sages were older than Lord Brahma's other sons, like Marichi, they appeared like small little naked children, only 5 or 6 years old.
They run around.
Right?
They're brilliant, deeply realized sages.
Yeah, when Jaya and Vijaya saw them trying to enter Vaikuntha Loka, the two gatekeepers, thinking them as ordinary children, forbade them to enter. Get out of here, you naughty kids. Go play somewhere else. Thus, checked by the doorkeepers, Jaya and Vijaya, Sanandana and the other great sages very angrily cursed them. You two foolish doorkeepers, they said, being agitated by the material qualities of passion and ignorance, you are unfit to live at the shelter of Madhuvisa's lotus feet. Madhuvisa, it's Krishna, or Vishnu, which are free from such gunas. It would be better for you to go immediately to the material world and take your birth in a family of most sinful asuras.
Ooh.
Ouch.
You know, it's interesting. It seems that the Four Kumars, they have the children's bodies.
Yeah.
But they have the wisdom of great sages.
But they got an anger of a child.
But they also have some of the personality of the child. Because I think even Prabhupada writes it's like a child when they're forbidden to go to someplace, they really they don't
they
like
throw a tantrum.
Yeah.
Maybe they
had a bit of
I don't want to
childishness.
make an offense because I don't want them to get mad at me.
But no, but they had part of the nature of a child in that body, it seems.
Become like a frog, Raghunath. Ow. Where'd Raghunath go?
All right.
Oh man, I don't want to get cursed.
Let's keep going.
People still curse. That's a thing.
All right.
It's a thing. Getting cursed. Sometimes there's sicknesses. Have you Bombay girls? You've heard of this? You curse each other. No. It's a whole thing.
That's heavy.
All right, Krishna.
Let's
Let's not go there today.
Vaishnava curses. You know, when the Vaishnava gives a curse,
It's a blessing,
it said that it's a blessing.
but it's
So
still
when the
sort
four-
of a curse.
So the four Kumars,
It's still sort
the four Kumars cursed Jaya and Vijaya, the gatekeepers. They did have to live out the curse. They had to come down and take those births in these
Yeah.
demoniac incarnations. But eventually they were released, and they
I know
achieved,
it's still a curse.
but they achieved a higher destination.
Yeah. I mean, like when it was Narada who cursed Nalkugriva and Manigriva and Nalkuvera
Yeah.
to stand as trees.
Long time.
And they're gonna get liberated by Krishna, but guess what?
They had
They still have to be trees.
Yeah, for a long time.
It's hard to be a tree. Can you just imagine that? It's like
Yeah.
I'm so bored. Oh, it's cold. It's getting winter's coming. There's a dog. Get out of here. Get.
But they
There's a, guy
knew.
with a fence, and there's a guy with a hatchet.
But they knew Krishna's gonna come. Right? They knew he's gonna come. They were waiting for that.
I wonder how much consciousness a tree has. They do communicate. We know that.
Well, we know that once they were cut down and released, they had full consciousness and memory and all of that. So I don't know. I suppose that doesn't necessarily imply that they had it the whole time as a tree, but they definitely had it as soon as they got cut down.
I wonder if they're like, don't like being trees. Like, this sucks. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's just like a dull kind of ache,
Or
or just
a dull ache for
for
400 years,
a
500
long
years.
time.
Like, please cut me down. Somebody, please kill me.
But then they start cutting down, like, no,
No, don't cut me down.
leave me alone.
Oh, you're just carving your name in me. Oh.
All right.
Okay. It's nice to put yourself into other species' thoughts, isn't it?
Well, yeah, of course, we may be completely off.
Yeah, yeah, and most likely are.
We got to finish up this chapter, Rumi. Let's do it.
39. While Jaya and Vijaya thus cursed the sages, thus cursed by the sages, were falling to the material world, they were addressed as follows by the same
Same
sages, who were very kind to
They're
them.
kind to them.
O doorkeepers, after 3 births, you'll be able to return to your positions in Vaikuntha, for then the duration of the curse will have ended.
So they're falling and they're getting this message. That's good news.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We owe you one. These 2 associates of the Lord, Jaya and Vijaya, later descended to the material world, taking birth as the 2 sons of Diti, Hiranyakashipu, and
The elder, being elder,
Hiranyaksha, the
younger.
younger. They were very much respected by the Daityas and the Danavas. Those are demon
demonic.
species.
They were
Isn't that
big
interesting?
time.
There's demon species.
Yes.
I find that's very interesting.
No, I do
A
too.
race of demons.
Reading on.
Reading on, appearing as Nrsingadev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Hari, the Lord, killed Hiranyakashipu. That when the Lord delivered the planet Earth, which had fallen in the Garbhodak ocean, Hiranyaksha tried to hinder him. And then the Lord, as Varaha, killed Hiranyaksha.
Okay, so those are the first 2 ways they showed up. That's how they both got killed.
Next, desiring to kill his son Prahlad, who was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, Hiranyakashipu tortured his own son in many ways. The Lord, the super soul of all living entities, is sober, peaceful, and equal to everyone. Since the great devotee Prahlad was protected by the Lord's potency, Hiranyakashipu was unable to kill him, in spite of endeavoring to do so in various ways.
So this is the next thing that we're going to hear about. There's going to be chapters dedicated to this. Is the linking point between this chapter and the next quite a few chapters.
Thereafter, the same Jaya and Vijaya, the 2 doorkeepers of Lord Vishnu, took birth as Ravana and Kumbhakarna. You
Thank
got
you.
it.
Bombay girls.
Ravana and Kumbhakarna, begotten by Vishrava in the womb of Kashini. They were extremely troublesome to all the people of the universe. Not even the people of your household, not even the people of the state, not even the people of the country. They were troublesome to the entire universe. Everybody was bothered by them.
And
where are we at? Thereafter, okay.
Narada Muni continued.
Narada Muni continued, my dear king, just to relieve Jaya and Vijaya of the Brahmana's curse, Lord Ram appeared in order to kill Ravana and Kumbhakarna.
Okay.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
We're still celebrating.
Mhm.
It will be better for you to hear narrations about Lord Ramachandra's activities from Markandeya.
Okay.
Okay, we will. That'll come later. In their 3rd birth, the same Jaya and Vijaya appeared in a family of Kshatriyas, as warriors, as your cousins, the sons of your aunt, because Lord Krishna has struck them with a disc. All of their sinful reactions have now been destroyed, and now they are free from the curse.
Okay, so Yudhishthira's like, what? Oh, hold.
Oh, there's a backstory.
Yeah, so you're
here.
saying that my cousin, who was so bent against Krishna, I never understood him. I never understood why he was like that. Why would he be like that?
Mm-hmm.
He was actually a great servant of Vishnu, up in the spiritual realm, was cursed by the 4 Kumars to become a demon. And that's why he was like that. And Krishna just relieved him and allowed him to return back. How fascinating.
Now, okay, that makes sense. Oh my God, it's time
Yeah,
already.
three more verses.
Well, it's 5:30.
Give her three more verses.
I gotta get in a taxi.
Three
Go to the
more.
hospital.
I'll read the three verses.
Okay, read.
Okay. Oh no, two more verses. These two associates of Lord Vishnu, Jaya and Vijaya, maintained a feeling of enmity for a very long time. Because of always thinking of Krishna in this way, they regained the shelter of the Lord, having returned home back to Godhead. Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired, "Oh, my Lord Narada, why was there such enmity between Hiranyakashipu and his beloved son, Prahlad Maharaj?"
Good question, but
How did Prahlad Maharaj become such a great devotee of Lord Krishna? Kindly explain this to me.
he still didn't answer the question, though. How could you curse people who are pure at heart? These are in Vaikuntha to take material births.
No, his question was, how would they come down? And the point was, they came down to be part of Krishna's Leela. They came down so Krishna would have someone to fight.
So it's really just in another way of rendering service.
Yeah, render service up
But
there.
they
render
didn't
service down
need
here.
to get purified by it. It wasn't for purification, for their quote sin of
I
checking.
think that's an
Sanat
that's
Kumars.
an external thing, but it's not the deep reason. It's not
Okay,
the
we're
true
gonna
reason.
dig in that.
Yeah.
Miss Mara, enlighten us.
Hello,
with your
Mara.
wisdom.
I got some goodies. Celebrate.
Get a picture here.
Celebrate.
Here they are. Here we are.
Celebrate Bart's reclamation.
Celebrate.
Celebrate.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
You can be anywhere externally, but it's what's happening internally that determines your mental health and happiness.
Okay.
Internally, I think I drank too much sugarcane juice today.
Beg God for the removal of envy and animosity.
Like Rumi.
Mm-hmm.
Raghunath just wants to celebrate. He doesn't want to.
Make Rumi for Rumi. How about that one?
No,
Thank you. Thank you.
He got one laugh.
I got one left for that one.
still laughing about it though. No one cares about your facial hair that much anyway.
Ouch.
No, because they love you with or
way.
without it. Yeah.
Okay,
in a good way.
Okay.
Let your mind be thick like honey on Krishna.
Oh, there we go.
Cultivate your spiritual form internally right now.
Right now.
Keep the internal occupation going.
Keep it going.
One must meditate on Krishna somehow or other.
Somehow.
It's hard to be a tree,
It's hard to be a tree.
and
And
it's hard to be kind when you're a hornet.
that's
Yeah.
a fact.
Got it. There's no pious hornets out there.
They're
Thanks
all
everybody for
mean.
joining us. Thanks everybody for live.
Can we
Big
get
shout out,
people
everybody.
back, Mara? Can we get the people's cameras back?
Into this camera. Live. Alive.
We don't have Tara up on the bed today. Gotta turn it up.
This is how the Price is Right ended like this. Ah.
Go
Thanks,
right,
everybody.
Go right up into your eye. Right into my eye. Facial hair? I don't know.
Okay, everybody, wish me well. I'm going to the hospital.
All right, Jai Shri Ram, everyone.
Jai Shri Ram. Our voice to Lord Ram. Special day. And I can't really know what to say right now. We'll have to get a taxi ride. A little nervous.
Nervous.
I'm going to stay at the hospital
You're
all night.
you're a good hand.
Okay, listen, everybody. Beautiful day for beautiful day. It's magical time out there. Let the magic continue to flow in a big Haribo and Jai Shri Ram ki.
Jai Shri Ram.